There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of the Daily Sib. I'm joined by Chris Cusack, who you may remember was on one of the very first Daily Sibs, I think, Chris, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I've been on a couple of times.
Yeah, you did. That's right. You then did sort of about a month in, you came on as well, because we were playing around with the format at the very first time, and then that was just on YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
And then, we did another one, which was more like this. But for those that don't know, Chris is someone that I've known a long time now. It's funny how time flies past, actually.
Yeah.
Shrin and I met Chris, who came on board and did some work at Disability Horizons. Then Commable spawned out of Horizons and got its own grants and investment, and Chris became, and I'll let you say a bit more if you want in a minute, Chris, but ultimately was a big part of the Commable team that sold to Airbnb, the now sort of almost case study of how brands can embrace disabled consumers. And then after Commable was acquired, we really knocked our heads together of how do we make Horizons financially sustainable, because we all had, like Liz, our editor, and Chris and I, the basic, got to make a living, got to make ends meet. So there had to be a financial sustainability. But even on the broader social mission, we knew that businesses have an opportunity to connect with disabled consumers. But it's always been the how. It's sort of, we got the vision, the mission, but it was the how. And with Disability Horizons, it does so much cool content with diversity and variety of contributors and topics, reaches a phenomenal amount of people. But it was very hard to take one media platform that would connect with all of disabled people, because there are going to be niche communities that one way or another, Horizons just isn't going to have information or the style as well that they are looking for.
Yeah.
And we then got into the sort of influencer notion, and that's when we met the guys at the Goat agency a bit over a year ago, and as you all know, culminated with Purple Goat launching. So all of this is to say that Chris and I were and are the two full-time staff at Purple Goat, but we've partnered with the Goat agency, so we are very fortunate to have their strategic support, their resource when we need support on like day-to-day activities. And as you also know, we're now hiring because things have been going so well for a third member. So Chris and I are excited and relieved to have a bit more resource because it's been a slog. But so in the end, just for the context and the reference, Chris and I are full-time on Purple Goat. We still catch up with Liz and the Horizons team, and Horizons is still flourishing with the shop and the readership and Liz is really taking on a leadership role there as well, which is really exciting to see too. But we just thought it'd be nice to share with you all what's been going on, almost what Purple Goat is, because some people don't maybe totally get it. But I think, just a kind of update on what it's been like running a marketing agency since April. So a bit of a longer intro, but I think it's good to get that context. And I mean, Chris, like, what do you want to sort of add to the context before we go into some of the nitty gritty?
Well, I'd like to go back to when you were talking about Disability Horizons right after Commable was sold. I think that was a really interesting time for us because, like you say, we knew we needed to find a way to create revenue streams to make it sustainable. And I mean, speaking from an entrepreneurial point of view, it just forced us to be really creative, to not get too precious about ideas. If they weren't working, throw them out, try something different, adapt it. And I mean, eventually it's led us to where we are now with Purple Goat. So I think that was such a useful period of time for us. And we've got so much experience from that now and so many contacts made that we're bringing into Purple Goat.
Yeah. And so we want I think we want the people watching that from the community to understand what we're doing ultimately will make us as disabled people more seen and heard by brands. But, in the end, it's like we'll be able to go to more events and have more access to product. Like life will be better on a very blunt, simple level.
Yeah.
We have a social mission. So any disabled person or family or carer, etc., personal assistant, like there's a fundamental thing around we're still changing narratives and we're making the world better. So there's that bit about every individual in the community. There's a bit about influencers and professionals and talent with a disability. We're bringing paid work, which is really exciting. And of course, to businesses, it's not just a charity thing or a moral legal thing. It's a business opportunity that what they invest, they will get back and some in exponential measures. So I think we've got 3 areas to explore, but I also want to just start with the personal side of it, Chris. Like, when we knew we were going to become Purple Goat, like what for you on a personal level, what did that mean?
I think our relationship with the Goat Agency and the experience that we gained on a personal level, it just meant there was a real opportunity to make a difference to a lot of people's lives. So, I mean, personally, it felt fantastic because, like you say, we're carrying the same basic mission through. There's all this untapped talent out there, and there's all this missed opportunity for not just disability-related brands, but mainstream brands. Just have this level of fear about marketing to the disabled community. It's not they don't want to, So it just seemed, in the end, so obvious to go in this direction. And we have the resource, the logistics, and the knowledge now, and it feels fantastic. I mean, at times it can be a bit of a roller coaster, of course, with a startup, and it can.
Did you know what your day job and your daily routine would be when we? I mean, I'm asking questions to lead the conversation, but to answer, it was a massive leap in the unknown, right?
Absolutely, a huge learning curve and a massive leap of. I didn't have any concept of how popular it would be. Really, I was kind of going on Disability Horizons, maybe, a little bit more busy than Disability Horizons, hopefully. But that was kind of my concept, But it's been, very successful, which is fantastic.
It's all like the careful what you wish for, because obviously with Horizons, we were busy trying to create something from nothing. But it was hard to get all the dots to join and for the business model to click. And so we were busy, but it was more trying to make magic, Whereas I feel like with Purple Goat, we're busy because we've got lots of clients, lots of influencers, it's clicked. And so it's like there's a responsibility to do a good service and deliver for everybody.
I mean, and again, on a personal level, the clients all seem to be quite happy with the way things are going. But more than that, dealing with the influencers from the community, they're also creative and just they seem to be underused, and so I'm contacting them and they're happy for the work and they're putting out great stuff, and it's fantastic to work with them. And I'd like to say to any of them out there that want to get into this kind of thing and have that kind of social media presence, find the Purple Goat page and get in touch with us. As many contacts as we can possibly have, really.
So Gavin's actually just written a comment, who is one of our current client and doing a campaign, and we went live yesterday to do a sort of call to arms of influencers and content creators to get in touch for that campaign specifically. So I suppose you're saying, even if you can't get to London, like with the thing with Gavin, and with Gavin, it's going to be global down the road, but the specific thing yesterday was a call for London, but you're saying like whatever fashion, sport, like what, or disability, right? Whatever area, you know, diversity, vertical, whatever. Like if you're an influencer, get in touch because the work's there. Like we need more.
Absolutely. I mean, we need, you know, a spread of everything really, genders, ethnicities, everything, disabilities, areas. You know, we're doing campaigns in the UK and the US. So you know, we need people from everywhere talking about everything.
Yeah, exactly. So to Gavin's comment, we're both blocked for a second, but I go to conferences all over the UK and Europe. And one thing that I have found is that there is very little cross-pollination. I believe this is the greatest challenge we face as we surround ourselves with people who flock together in our own group. To have a business that crosses over those boundaries is the key. I think SE is social enterprise, sustainability. And that was to our point about, you know, Horizons is still very important. And I also would describe that Horizons is facing the community. It's, you know, like a peer-to-peer, people that are in the same boat. You don't feel like you're the only one. It's that connection of community, but it's also how to travel, how to have relationships and navigate the world of sex, as per that chat last week that we had. How to like all work, benefits, whatever it might be. So I think that's the job of Horizons, which was and is and always will be. And then Purple Goat faces the businesses and then does marketing campaigns using disabled influencers, talent and professionals. And so that's what Gavin's saying, is that we've been able to, you know, go community facing and client facing, but by working with influencers and working with clients like Gavin at Neatbox, like James and Zara at Hex Productions, Danielle at Unlimited You, and we'll mention some others later, but like big shout outs to those clients we're working with. But ultimately we're joining those dots so there's a cohesive campaign and a cohesive strategy to inclusion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. It's, you know, for businesses, we can offer them a lot now, especially with Disability Horizons. We call a faceless influencer. We have an entire community there that we can put posts to, as well as influencers with their own followings.
Yeah,
so it's like throwing a handful of pebbles into a lake. Create far more ripples.
That's really nice. Yeah, that's a really nice metaphor. I like that. We have to get a meme of that, or a meme, however you say it. So we got Claire on LinkedIn. Martin, Chris, your work is incredible. Fancy joining forces to promote my business. I'm taking it over to Australia and New Zealand too when I can, so it can perhaps assist with cross-pollination. Yeah, absolutely, Claire. Just we'll follow up on LinkedIn afterwards, and we'll set up a call. But I love a bit of global. Christopher Wood, looking forward to learning more about Purple Goat. Connecting the dots rather than silos has to be the way forward. I'm sure Purple Goat has the right people and network to achieve it. So I love that with the Daily Sib, like we get Chris Wood, Gavin, a few others are here every day because they appreciate the guests' value and input. I know the Daily Sib's become quite a powerhouse in the last few months with COVID and lockdown particularly. But yeah, it's like galvanizing all of our experiences and thoughts and ideas for some greater campaign, greater change. So it's exciting times. I was going to ask you, Chris, while we're just doing the personal bit, the sort of, you know, how you felt prior to Purple Goat, and we'll come on to what's happened since launch. But did you have anything you wanted to ask me about, sort of like from my side, like that, you know, genuinely that you maybe haven't known, or maybe just for people watching, just to get that side of the picture as well?
Just the fact that, you know, I've learned so much, and I think you probably shared my experience.
Sorry, mate, just like, did you want to ask me something of my experience since we launched?
Yeah, I mean, how have you found it? I mean, how have you coped with the constraints physically?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, we covered it when you answered, but I just wanted to be that sort of, for people to get not just me asking you as a guest, like both of us to share that sort of vibe. And I think, like for me, it was just that excitement of what we could do, but it was also the fear at some points of what if it failed, but what if it was really successful? And that might sound silly to people, but really successful means that there's a responsibility to deliver. And I think that was probably the fear I had. And it wasn't overly everyday fear, but those odd little moments of like what if it really explodes? Like, what, we're going to know what to do. And I just think I want that for people watching to get that, like me and you, we've got a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. We're totally in our zone and we're nailing this. And there's no, like, now I don't have that fear because I've seen, like, you've been phenomenal, mate, delivering those campaigns. Like, you've had a lot to do. And I have had to go out and sell this to clients. And I used to have quite a fear of selling. So I'm proud of what we've both overcome, really.
It's been difficult from the point of view that with Disability Horizons, we could kind of lean on each other a bit more.
Yeah.
Our schedules were such that we could throw each other a call or whatever. But in order to deliver the quality of service that we want to with Purple Goat, our schedules are maxed out. So we have to schedule in chats like a week in advance and stuff like that. So I mean, utilizing every app that we can possibly utilize, like WhatsApp and Slack and things like that, has really helped, I think, because we can send out messages on the fly. But definitely, like you say, I think it was a lot of pressure at first, and I think it was a lot of a learning process and the processes and things like that. But I absolutely think the Goat agency, our sister agency, has been phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their support and advice in those moments and backup has been valuable. I mean, that's a huge help, I think.
Yeah, that's cool. It was I think I'm always, when I'm on the Daily Sib, I'm like, what does the audience want to know? Not in like a nosy sort of like sense, in a negative sense, but like what's helpful to understand and what helps move things forward. And I think everyone's already reacted to that point about the collaboration and not silos. But I think on a personal growth level, it's really important to be honest when we are a bit fearful of the unknown. And some days it's just hard work, because I think social media, and we work with influencers, and like I think all the disabled influencers we work with are absolutely with the values we have. It's not just pointless sort of, beach posing or something. Like, it all has a purpose and has a meaning. But I just think that the way that everyone sort of comes together and portrays that value of, we're all making a difference, but it's not always easy. I think it's an important point to make when some people feel like they're struggling, but everyone else is nailing it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I do think like the influencers really connect with our mission as well. When you look at the Purple Goat website, it's all made out there. And I think that helps in a way to get them on board with the various campaigns. Because, we do influencer marketing, yes, but that can take so many different forms.
It is very people, I think, it's actually interesting what your thoughts are of what is influencer marketing, because I've evolved what I believe it to be a lot the last 3 months. There's a public perception, but then I think there's a reality, and the reality that we have is really cool. But again, can you expand a bit of the different ways you see it?
Well, here's the growth of my knowledge. When I first started, I had no idea what influencer marketing was. Then I started to think, well, maybe it's someone like Kim Kardashian holding up, a product.
Yeah.
With
And like the beach thing I referred to, yeah.
And getting paid, however many thousands for the post. Now, I mean, it can be anything. It's utilizing someone who has an audience to send a message. So it can be a product or a service, and they get contacted and ask, their thoughts on it and the campaign. And we could be asking them to just post or do stories, or we could be asking them to make a video or take a trip and talk about it. We've had them make workout videos, everything. So it really, it's just anything that utilizes an influencer's audience.
Yeah. And I think that's the pure sense of influencer marketing, that there's content, but then it's that having a bit of an audience.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be as large an audience as you might imagine. No. We are working with people with, sometimes a couple of thousand followers, which again, if you've started and you got one follower, it sounds a lot, but like, we're not talking 1 million followers either. And as we saw with Gavin yesterday, I also feel like influencer, it doesn't even, in our world, maybe it's a bit different from the sister agency, The Goat, but like, there are influencers in disability that can do stuff within a campaign that doesn't just mean on like Instagram. It's that there are ways that people have influence in non-digital ways. So we are a digital first influencer agency, but I feel like influence is such a catch-all umbrella term. It can have so many different interpretations.
I also think one of the fundamentals is the fact that these people that we deal with know their own audience and they know how to communicate with them. And so allowing them enough freedom to communicate in their own language and their own terms is one of the secrets to it. And I mean, The Goat have taught us to, doing your research on engagement and that kind of thing, so that you pick the right people to help the client get as much reach as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
But engagement seems to be actually better in the disabled community than outside of it.
Well, we got the data coming in. It's not final. And I think we said before the call, there's obviously like certain client, there's a couple of client names that we can't mention because of NDA, and even the client. So the client that I want to mention now is Leonard Cheshire Disability. It's one of the biggest disability charities. So like, we can mention we're working with them. There's just a couple of others we can't. We won't go into specifics, but the data that's come in for the campaign we're finishing, what struck me is what you said, it's the engagement.
Yeah.
And we saw it with one of the influencers we got involved on a Tesco campaign, had Pippa Stacey, had 25% engagement. The average was 8% of that campaign. So there's something really interesting we've found through these 3 or 4 months now, that like, there may not be as large of follower numbers compared to the sort of non-disabled influencer world, but engagement is high. And if you're a brand, that's ultimately the best metric, because there are ways to scale the reach with paid media and other mechanics, but it's the engagement that really is going to, people are going to click through and you build a relationship with the customer, right?
Absolutely. You want to create a conversation. You don't want just people to flick past the post. That's what you're after. So the comments and the interactions and that kind of thing really nails down that the audiences of these followers are paying attention and responding. That it's brilliant to know, and it's really useful for the clients.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a few other comments coming in. So Claire said, how have you both kept up the motivation to succeed? How have you, from those early mornings, late nights, and a million things running around your head, how have you stayed motivated, Chris?
Well, you can see, I believe it was Gavin in one of our meetings pointed out my commitment to Purple Goat and the fact that I'd themed the bedroom to the right colour.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
Purple everywhere.
being one of those people from the disabled community that feels I was kind of my skills were underutilized. That's my motivation. I want to prove myself. You know, I have experience. I've worked for other companies. I've had a career that spans, you know, nearly 30 years now. God, that makes me feel old. But yeah, the startups are just an amazing place to work. It's really exciting, really interesting, and I just each day I start with, you know, the knowledge that I want to build something big, permanent, worthy. You know, that has an impact for the community and for businesses.
I won't name drop the person, but you'll be pleased to hear someone at the Goat thought you're in your late 30s the other day. I thought you'd like that. And for me, I think the motivation, there's always been some driver. Like when I went to uni, drove a car, traveled the world, did all the adventure, you know, the scuba diving and husky dodge sledding and all that. And now this sort of global, you know, growing, scaling startup that is Purple Goat. Like all of that, there's always some slight proven. I think you're right. Like a society wrote us off because we have a disability, and I know that's like quite pointed, and of course not everybody thinks that way. But as a cultural, like broader, generally, you know, someone is diagnosed, and it's like, oh, you know, they're going to struggle with school and struggle with it, and you know. So I think there's something cool about breaking the mold and changing stereotypes, which is what you've said. I also am massively motivated by the social change. So, you know, I worked at Scope for 5 years. I left in 2011, and it's only been the last year or two that we more and more like sort of the business social enterprise side kicked in. So I could have gone and made money anywhere else. Like the money, we all need to live off something, and I'm not against earning money, but the motivator for me is making the world more inclusive, and that's what gets me out of bed when I'd rather stay in bed because I'm exhausted. So
yeah, I've just always resented other people's expectations of me.
Yeah,
try and, you know, I've got the I can mentality. You know, I'm going to let other people define what I can and can't do.
Which is the Leonard Cheshire campaign. Actually, I can, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the tagline for the whole campaign. Which,
yeah.
You know, I think really helped because I think that one line showed how much they understood the community.
Yeah.
You know, it helped people come on board with it. But yeah, I feel like that myself. But it does create challenges when you're in a new job and you have to admit your physical limitations.
Because that's such an important point
in place. So you have to have a kind of a realistic expectation of what you actually think you can do.
Because I think on the one side, we've ended up being able to do more than we ever thought mentally and physically possible, like, and some. But we also both have to be careful with our health and not burn. Well, anyone has to not burn out, but like we both, for people watching, Chris and I have the same health condition called spinal muscular atrophy. So like physically very weaker, and we need care, support for all daily living sort of stuff. So I think we had to watch the kind of health thing a little bit more than someone that didn't have a health condition like us. But then because of having SMA, there was some tasks, particularly spreadsheets. And it's an interesting one because I think genuinely we struggle with spreadsheets because of having SMA. I believe that it's harder to like flick around the mouse to keyboard. I mean, I work on my phone, and even when I'm on the live here, I'm using like an app to move the mouse on my phone, and I type on my phone that comes up on the laptop. So I never touch the keyboard, and I only use the laptop for the video call angle, not just the live stream, but other like Zoom and Google Hangout. But like a spreadsheet on a phone is very hard, I'll tell you. So there's a legitimate reason. But like when we chat to the guys at the GOAT, it doesn't matter if it's because of a disability or just because you just hate spreadsheets. Like what you want in a business, whether it's Purple Goat Startup and GOAT, they've got like well over 100, global employees now. You want people doing the things they're good at and enjoy, right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've had to play around with that, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, I love dealing with clients and dealing with the influencers, and it's the relationships that I enjoy part of it, and the processes just help with that, I think. And like I say, I find the mechanics of the campaign quite tiring, but they're a necessity. So it's leaning on the GOAT agency a bit for some advice on how to get those in order so that everything is, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed with everything, so we can report and we can keep track of things and make the best decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just scrolling my eyes down the other comments coming in. But yeah, no, I mean, because I think we were blocked. A little bit of pride stopped us from admitting it. And that was something we had to work through. And maybe we were worried that what if, say, like in our instance, the GOAT were to think bad or negative, but like it was the most ridiculous notion because they understand disability and they understand us now because we're really close with them.
Yeah.
So we got in our own way. We were the problem. It wasn't that our business partners were discriminating us. Like we were the ones that were just a bit awkward about sort of needing a bit of help, to be honest. And the minute we said this is taking ages and it's not good for business, they were like, of course, like let's solve it, let's sort it. So then we, as you say, we got some admin support from them, and because we've grown the business so well, we mentioned at the beginning we're hiring. So the new role, by the way, I think we're closing the application around, well, we're reviewing them on Monday. We've had quite a few come in already. So definitely, if you're interested in the role, get your CV and 500 words to Martin with a Y, martin@purplegoatagency.com. But the role is going to be that there's the admin and getting me and Chris organised. There's the delivering campaigns with Chris because we're getting too many clients for Chris. Even though he loves all the relationship stuff, there's still going to be too many for you.
Yeah,
exactly. And then if that's all done and dusted in a week or a day, there's then the opportunity to learn about business development, marketing with me and other parts. So it's a chance to come in at the ground floor and make your mark with us and help us go to the next level, but grow and develop with Purple Goat. And obviously there'll be opportunities to go up the through different promotions down the road. So that's where that's come from, is that we partly were like, oh, we struggle with spreadsheets, but actually like we're just so busy, we need someone regardless if we're like a ninja on a spreadsheet anyway. Yeah.
I mean that's the thing, and it like you say, it's a chance for someone to come in and help us build something awesome. Really groundbreaking.
Yeah, cool. So Sanjeev says you should support the world's first domain accessibility tool of ATL.com for public. Not quite sure what that is about, but he put we both can get huge benefits from it because Google Face. I think Sanjeev sent me a message because that doesn't make much sense out of context. But obviously if we can help anybody, we're always happy to help. Claire, as a person with a disability myself, my biggest struggle is finding the pull to carry on over the pull of poor health dragging me down. I mean, I think we because we answered Claire's previous thing about motivation and we've touched on it. But any thoughts on that, Chris?
Yeah, I think it's finding a balance, really. You have your goals, the things you want to achieve, and it's right to set big goals and to challenge yourself, because I think sometimes you can push beyond your kind of safe zone and it's all right. But it's really keeping a monitor on it. I mean, for myself personally, at the moment, my weekends are sacred, and my weekends I chill and I get my mind to slow down a bit and that kind of spend time with my family who, you don't see me that much during the week because I'm busy. And it's little things like that, I think, that just keep you anchored and keep you kind of pushing forward. But it's never let go of that goal in your mind, the thing you're trying to achieve, because you'll get there, you will.
It's sort of connected to the motivation, isn't it? That
Yeah,
there's a point you have to know your limit not to get ill and burn out, because that's going to be the worst thing in a number of ways. Like on the personal level, of course, no one wants to be ill, and from a point of view of running a business, if anyone goes off sick, it's an impact on the business. So it's an absolute, like no one should overdo it and get ill and burn out. But like we said, we shocked ourselves how much we were capable of.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's trial and error in a way.
Absolutely. I mean, you're listening to your body is a good thing anyway, I think. It turns out if I'm overdoing it, I get a lot weaker, I get really tired, my muscles ache. And I know then that I need to just kind of ease off the accelerator a little bit and take some time. That's
a good point. And I think it's sort of all the similar thing. It's looking after yourself. I've changed my diet a bit lately, and I've got some sort of shakes that I'm drinking that get all the micronutrients that I never got from my diet. I try and get 8 hours sleep. I try and stop at least half hour over lunch just to gather my thoughts and energy. I go on the dog walk and get fresh air, and then on the weekends, like you say, really try and switch off and do something non-work related. And I've even found part of me being always switched on was trying to crack the overall business solution, and that would keep me up at night, and I'd be thinking about it all the time. Now I've got all these awesome creative ideas about who we could work with and campaigns we could run, but like that I can do that in working hours more. So I'm finding it the last week, I would say, that because we've upskilled and learned the ropes and we've run a few campaigns, like we're starting to create a habit and like behaviors now that mean it's more it's not yet autopilot. We're still like another few months from autopilot, but we know what we're dealing with now. And so I've sort of found that when it's new or it's change, it's harder on the emotion and the mental health. But when it becomes habitual, you're busy in the day and you've got to look after yourself, but it's easier to switch off afterwards as well. Yeah, I mean, that's I think largely the case. There are still occasionally times where maybe there's an issue with the campaign. I was going to say there's an issue. And occasionally the solution comes to me at 2 a.m. when I'm kind of I get that. But there's no kind of worry associated with it now. No, I know backup's there if I can't come up with a solution. The backup is there, and the clients are all fantastic as well. And you chat with them, and quite often you can thrash something out between you. Yeah, exactly. Oh, flash of lightning here. We got a storm. So Kevin says, "Hi, how are you measuring engagement?" So my answer, Kevin, we lick our finger and put it in the air and come up with a number. No, I'm joking. Chris, you're at the cold face with the analytics. Like, how do we measure? I mean, it's Instagram, the social media gives it, doesn't it? But basically, how do we measure it? Engagement? It doesn't matter what platform your following is on. There's always ways and means to find impressions, reach, engagements, that kind of thing. And we collate them for every single post and story from every influencer, and produce a report at the end of a campaign that shows how well the campaign has performed. But we can also use that as well to direct the paid portion of campaigns, so we can see whose audience, who's creating the most engaging content, whose audience is interacting with it the best, and we can put some money behind that and push it way beyond their own following. I mean, I guess it's probably an interesting thing to share, like for anyone wondering how the sort of process is. There's clients out there that either know they would benefit or they don't know, and I'll explain how
Yeah.
they would benefit. And then I create a proposal pitch deck where it's more sort of about what the campaign is, the deliverables, like you said, the reach, the engagement, and all the rest of it, and the kind of things we do, the kind of people we work with. And then if the client feels it's what they're looking for, we sign off. And that's sort of and prior to that, there's all the marketing, you could argue. So that's sort of me doing more like marketing, business development. And then you would then do the kickoff.
Yeah.
And then you want to talk a bit about the brief and contracts for the research first.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I have a chat with the client and work out in my mind exactly what was needed, talk about expectations and things like that, what was their must-haves, what they're flexible on, that kind of thing, which gives me a much better remit. I would then, after that conversation, write out a full brief, which eventually would go to the influencers, but I send that back to the client just to check that I've not missed any points or that the information's all correct and they're happy with it. I draw up a contract as well from our template. Then I would start the research and outreach, which is going to our various sources, going through our Rolodex of pre-existing contacts, and find suitable candidates and influencers. Sometimes people we've worked with in the past that we know are really good, really professional and really creative. And sometimes it's new people. Once we've worked out that list of, the potentials, we would look at all of their minute details of engagement in their previous posts and stuff like that, how prolific they are, that kind of thing, where their audience is, what age range, and we fit the influencers to the campaign, which helps the campaigns be more effective. Once we've got the short list, we'd send that to the client so they can just have a look over who's going to be going. But I mean, generally, we've used our expertise to make the decisions. Yeah. But of course, the client can veto anyone they're not happy with, or et cetera, et cetera. And then I monitor all of their output once everything's okay, and we've sent them their briefs and contracts. We schedule when posts are going to go out, and I make sure the posts are in line with the client's wishes before they go live. So there's no posting of anything before we've looked it over to make sure it's on point. And then 48 hours later, they send us their analytics, which we input into everything. And that's the standard campaign. Of course, sometimes there are events that rather than posts. Sometimes it's based around recording videos, and it's all the creative output. I monitor that everything's gone okay, and people sometimes have to re-record videos if it's not gone quite right, or they've not quite understood the brief enough. But that's
really helpful, I think, for people to understand it, and almost bringing it back to the 3 points I said earlier. It means that disabled people consuming any kind of digital media, which, like, forget whether you're disabled or not, the reason the GOAT agency and influencer marketing is thriving is because, people are on Instagram or LinkedIn like we are right now as broadcasting, but people are on it consuming, as much, if not more than TV or radio or print. So from an advertising perspective, I think, but as a disabled person about advertising, we found, didn't we, that it was 0.06% of adverts represent disability. So that's social mission as well. But in addition to what we said, is that we're getting disabled people represented in advertising. But obviously we are working with brands that have products and services that genuinely truly make a difference to disabled consumers' lives. So it's just such a nice balance of, consumers being more represented, influencers getting paid, and brands finally acknowledging the purple pound and the disabled community. But like, we're seeing that the reach and engagement and all the rest of it is really, already showing massive payoff and dividends to those brands that are investing in our community as well.
Absolutely.
So Chris says, loving Chris's purple room, or is it a homage to Prince?
No, absolutely. This is the Purple Goat head office, I think.
We've got Kasha painted the garden chairs and the table in the back garden purple, so it is taking on. And Kevin's asking thanks in previous point about engagement, and he did say LOL about my lick your finger and put it in the air. How do you combat influencer fraud that can be so prevalent on the platforms like Instagram via bots and comment pods? Truth is, Kevin, that's up to the social media platforms to combat. We have no control over that. But as much as that may exist, that there's always, imperfections in marketing and in life. And I'm not aware that has ever ruined or spoilt a campaign and had a detrimental effect. I mean, you can see when the influencers post, there are genuine accounts that are responding and liking, and we know just from having a look ourselves. But the question you're asking is one, and I appreciate the question. Like, I'm not bothered that we're answering it for you. But the responsibility is on the social media sites to shut down those accounts, basically.
I mean, absolutely, because of our connections in the disabled community as well, like Martin said, when you're watching an influencer's account and you see them post, quite often I recognize people who are posting. I know they're genuine accounts and not created. So I think it's the fact of our relationships that we have developed and we are developing with these people. You get a sense of whether they're genuine or not. If the numbers seem a bit dodgy, that kind of thing, we might move over to someone else. But genuinely, a lot of these accounts we deal with on a regular basis, and you kind of get a sense of their honesty and integrity, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Kevin, if you're in that world and you've got ideas and that, we're always happy to listen and look at ways of making everything better. But it's certainly not something that we've ever experienced as a problem at the moment.
I mean, we do have it contracted as well. We have it contracted that the numbers that they give us must be genuine.
Yeah.
So if it ever came out that an influencer was defrauding, we have it covered legally as well.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're referring to, like, if we found an influencer with 10,000 followers, but they've done it through bot fraud, again, like, you can see when we do our due diligence, you can see the ones that are legitimate and the ones that have got a lot of following and they've posted 3 times. It's like you can tell that. So, all right. So I mean, just to try and check, we ticked everything off, Chris. We sort of explained how we know each other and how Purple Goat came about. I'm really glad that we could both have that sort of personal experience of it, like, because I think we talk about brands, Purple Goat's a brand, it's a business, it's a company, and all the rest of it. I think it's to meet, for some people that haven't met us, to meet me and you and get, as I put, Chris and I spell all the gossip from Purple Goat HQ. I think if for influencers, you get more what we're doing. For clients, you get more what we're doing. For people looking to apply for the role, if you're put off by this video, probably best not to apply for the job. But I think it's nice that we could just bring out more the real side of what we're doing. But I think we've equally been able to show the way the partnership with the Goat Agency is phenomenal. And I mean, a really big thanks to Aaron, Harry, Nick, Josh and Dan and all the guys that we've been working with hard. Like, they've really, taken a leap of faith to believe that we all together can make this change for disabled people, like where others haven't dared. So massive respect to them. And I know we all, it's a great relationship. We all get on really well, and it's exciting to see what we're all going to do together. And we've talked about influencers and processes and brands and some of the campaigns we've done. But was there anything that you wanted to mention, Chris, that we haven't touched upon?
I pretty much covered everything, the evolution of Purple Goat and everything. So
Up to now, right?
Up to now. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, my vision for the future is up.
That's a good one. Let's finish on like how you see the future.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of the potential of the Purple Goat, I mean, it could be, it could change the face of marketing for disabled people, basically, and that's the position I want to put us in.
Yeah.
I would like to see us like the Goat Agency with maybe an office in New York, and maybe this is overly ambitious, but
why not? I think it is
ambitious. The potential is there.
Yeah. We know the numbers, right? 1.3 billion people have a disability, and $8 trillion global annual spending power. So, like, if we at the minute we are the specialist marketing agency for disability. And we are working with a couple of big brands that, as I said, unfortunately, we can't say publicly. And I'm speaking with way more. Like now we've found our feet and we're in our stride and we've got some testimonials. I think the next sort of 3 months is going to be like, if you thought it was crazy the last 3 months, I think it's going to explode even more in the coming months. But it's going to be tier 1 brands. It's going to be like campaigns that disabled people have been crying out for. And it's going to be good. I think it's going to be exciting.
It is. It's brilliant stuff. Bring it on.
Kevin, one last thing from the audience. I appreciate your answers. I have far more questions than answers. Learning from you both with a smiley face. And that's why we wanted to do this. I think, Chris, we should try and make we're having our Friday pre-record with Freddie, our intern, a bit of a sort of topical chat. But I think we should do this on a live, even if it's every couple of months or something. I think it's just really nice to bring to life all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And obviously the Daily Sib will still be more about the guests and the other industries and the other parts of the jigsaw puzzle. But it's been really nice for me and you to have a bit of time, because we're not siloed by any means. We talk a lot, but it's very like, get shit done kind of thing.
No, absolutely. That's it. Fantastic. It's been a good opportunity to talk about what we're achieving here, because it's like, it is a big part of my life now. We're pushing it forward. So it's lovely to get the opportunity to share the stuff that we've learned and share our vision.
And because it has to be, by the way, Sarah says hi, guys. So as to say hi back to Sarah. And the other reason, of course, is that it's back to collaboration and partnership. Like, we've got a vision and we've got this agency and all the mechanics now, but we need the clients and we need the influencers to make the impact. So it's a big call to arms for any brands, big, medium, or small, and any influencers. And I know from myself and with you, Chris, as disabled people, there's a bit of proving, but I think there's also some deep level of, is what we do good enough? Compared to so if you're an influencer, I know some of them are a bit worried that their content isn't good enough, and it is awesome, it's amazing. So I don't want people not to step forward because they think they've not got enough following or they can't make content like Kim Kardashian. Like, the truth of the matter is, influencer marketing works because it's about creating connections with people. And when we all follow someone on social media and we've not maybe met them, but we feel like we know them, like the joy and the value that brings to our lives. Think of everyone watching who you follow online and what sort of benefits you get. So the disabled influencers are doing that already really, really well, but just don't compare to others, I suppose, is the point.
No, that's it. I mean, I'm 100% confident that any brand out there, we can help them.
Yeah.
You know, that's unequivocal. I think we can be useful in a marketing sense. In a difficult financial climate, this is a market that needs to be tapped.
Yeah, well, and the other thing we found is that TV production shut down, but influencers, particularly YouTubers and Instagrammers, really, they make amazing photo and video content themselves. So the ROI to get a bit marketing-y, but the return on investment with us, you get targeted reach of the right people, and you're working with the community professionals, but it's very, from a price point, it's very, very good as well. So anyway, I'm going off into a sales pitch, which wasn't my intention, but really good to have you on today, Chris.
Good to be here.
Love the purple curtains, as we've said. And any final thought for everyone?
No, just contact us. Anyone that needs us or wants to work with us, get in touch. You can find us through the Purple Coat website, or I'm sure you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. Just direct message me. I'm happy to chat with anyone about what we do.
So it's Chris Cusack is your full name, or Christopher in some places, I believe.
Yeah.
And
it's recognizable. It's my photo, so any memes or anything, you'll recognize me.
And Chris at purplecoatagency.com. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in today's special edition, and we're back tomorrow with Carrie-Anne Lightly, fellow travel blogger. Because for those that don't know, I've turned my hand to a little bit of vlogging in the past. So I haven't done lots of travel trips. Carrie-Anne and I share a passion for accessible tourism, so we'll be chewing the fat on that tomorrow. And it'd be cool because actually, Carrie-Anne is one of the influencers we'll be working with, so she'll be able to give a bit of that perspective from the influencer side as well. So have a fantastic Thursday, and we're last day of the week tomorrow, Chris. We're almost
almost
at the weekend again.
Looking forward to putting my feet up.
Yeah, well deserved. All right, good to see you, Chris, and thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.